I'm recording. From the industrial wastelands of Michigan to the fruited plains of Iowa, this is the American Greed Factory.
You are the dead. Remain exactly where you are. Make no move until you are ordered.
We burn them to ashes and then burn the ashes. That's our official motto.
Now we can see you. Clasp your hands behind your heads. Stand out in the middle of the room. Stand back to back.
Who can explain the fascination of fire? What draws us to it, whether we're young or old?
Here comes a candle to light you to bed. Here comes a chopper to chop up your head.
And welcome to the American Greed Factory podcast. This is Nathan.
This is Conlon.
Andrew.
It's election time, people. Well, it's over, maybe.
It was election week.
And the Libertarian Party won.
Yeah. Yeah, Joe Jorgensen sweep the states.
Oh, no, shit. Joe Biden. Yeah, sorry, wrong Joe.
Yeah, it was funny. Kanye West was on the ballot here, so that was fun.
We didn't get him on the ballot here.
He got like 3,000 votes here.
Good.
Tennessee, he almost got 11,000 votes. That was the most votes any state gave him.
Oh, good for him.
He's from Chicago, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, is he? Okay. Yeah. Well, so we're still, I mean, I guess today, Saturday, November 7th, the news has said it's, mathematically so far there's no way for Trump to win. So it looks like Biden's going to be the next president as of right now, but we still got like 70 plus days of potential shenaniganism. So we'll see what happens.
Well, thankfully, the Supreme Court and every judge has rejected everything he's thrown at him so far.
So far.
Yeah, so far. That's why I'm pressing.
We also don't know what tantrum he'll throw on the way out to ruin America for not voting for him.
It's going to launch nuclear missiles at the New Madrid Fault.
I don't know. That's also the other thing is it just kind of embarrassing that Biden is the most voted for president ever.
Yeah.
And guess who the second most voted person for is?
Donald
Trump. 70 fucking million people went yeah, more of this.
Yeah, 156 million people voted in this election. 83 million people didn't give a fuck. So we're still at 68% voter participation, which is the highest since McKinley. Whatever it means.
But actually, those numbers are going to rise because California still only got 66% counted to voted.
Yeah, and Alaska's only got 50%.
Yeah,
have one person doing it.
Also, that they have it I mean, I guess they have to, but they have it in shaded. We don't know who it's going to, even though it's 70% in Donald Trump's favor.
Well, North Carolina hasn't changed their vote count for 3 fucking days. Who the fuck's counting there? I don't know if there's waiting on ballots to come in from overseas, because the only state that was still in jeopardy that fucking had a ballot thing where it's you could receive it weeks afterwards was Nevada. North Carolina and everybody else was you have to have it received the day of the election, usually before 7 or 8 p.m. So it's who the hell's ballots are still needing to be counted that you're not counting anything.
Also, Arizona's still counting, but and technically Trump was gaining ground there, even though they called it for Biden a couple days ago. But
yeah,
because that was the weird thing, especially with Georgia, where it's it's been at 99% done for the past 3 days, but the votes have changed so much. I'm guessing because they didn't anticipate the mail-in ballots in those percentages or something.
I'm not sure.
I have no idea.
I mean, I hear different things, but it's.
But also, so in Georgia, if the difference is 0.05%, there's an automatic vote recount. But not that different. It's over that difference now because he had 9,000. That's over 1%. So
yeah.
Which that would be weird.
I know in Wisconsin they said it had to be 0.25% or lower for them to do an automatic recount. Otherwise, the candidate had to pay for it.
But,
So I thought that was more or less kind of like the standard almost everywhere. Because I mean, a recount when it's that close anyway, when there's millions of votes, shouldn't it be like a 20 or 30,000? You recount it just because.
well, like also in Georgia, they're going to a runoff election for their senators. So they're gonna do another election in January for the senators.
Yeah, they had, because both their senators were up this time because of a special election, which is unusual.
Yeah, it's still not in yet, but like they said that Georgia hasn't voted Democrat in 28 years. So
Yeah, it's been a long time. I mean, I think like Clinton carried some of those states
yeah, probably.
the first time, not the second time, the first time.
No, but he was a Southern boy, so he had that charm on the Southern states. So.
Yeah. Yep, they like their native son. But then you had what were the weird ones? Like Michigan surprised me that was that close.
Oh, yeah. This is a weird fucking election, which it was supposed to be because of COVID. Because like you watch it that first night, and you just like, and you even watch like that fucking Joe Rogan, the just like End of the World 2 podcast, where they're just watching the results and giving commentary based on the current, whatever the current information is, and so they're just making very bold predictions, and it's making stories based on information that's like not relevant yet. So
Yeah.
that's fun and annoying. But that's podcasts. Yeah, we do that. So
Yeah, we don't have the whole newsroom behind us.
but yeah, there was like that 3-hour window where Texas was blue. They're like, what the fuck's going on here? And then slowly that went away. And then like Michigan and Wisconsin was red at the end of the night. It's like, well, I guess it's over. Then you go to bed and wake up, and then it's like, oh, Wisconsin went blue, Michigan went blue, but it's like a very narrow margin. And then like, but still like nothing's going on. And like then I was like, it was like Friday morning. I just like ended up waking up at like 5 a.m, looked over my phone, and there's like the New York Times thing. It's like Pennsylvania flipped overnight. And that's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, see, and I look at these maps like I have the pull down chart here, and you see the numbers. Like I'm assuming Joe Jorgensen, Libertarian Party, like those would normally be Republican votes, right? If there wasn't a Libertarian on the ticket, or would they not vote?
Not sure.
Because if you look at the Joe Jorgensen votes in some of the, like Pennsylvania, Trump would have won Pennsylvania if they had siphoned 77,000 votes away to the Libertarian Party. He probably would have won. Nah, he wouldn't have won Michigan. He would have won Wisconsin.
Yeah, it was weird how Michigan was like really close, and then that became like almost 100,000 person difference. It's like, oh, that's weird.
Well, it's one of those states where like all the population is in the sense like they could count all the upper state votes because it's like 20,000 people in some of those counties, and then you get down to where I live, and it's like 7.5 million people, and more than half. Well, see, this was something that like my son was telling me about this because they were talking about in his government classes. They said the red mirage is what's going to happen on election day, because all the Trump people are going to go vote at the polls, and then when the mail-in ballots come in, all these states are going to start flipping. I mean, they were talking about that 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So, and that seems to be exactly what happened, but the margins are a lot slimmer than what I thought. Because I mean, Joe Biden was up 12 points going into this. Like, it was like weird because Obama, when he went against Romney, he was only up like 4 points, and it's because he won in the right places. But no one remembers the Romney Obama election being a nail biter.
Yeah.
It's like it's so weird that the margins as tight as they are.
This seems like embarrassingly too close. And it's just going to be like leave a lasting trail, because if it was just like a wholesale first night complete disregard of Trump and all his shit, it would have like shown that like, oh look, America's changing. But no, now they have this like this comeback overnight that these 70 million fucking morons are going to look at and like be suspicious of for the next 4 years.
Yeah, it's gonna. The new conspiracy theories that are going to come out of this are going to be just as amazing and implausible as the ones we've had. But yeah, it would be nice. I was thinking there would be more of a mandate. There's no mandate indicated by this.
No. Yeah, there's
This is
no. Once again, there was no like this promised blue wave didn't happen.
No.
It was just like we got a president switch and then just the stalemate in Congress once again.
This is just a win by points. It's a TKO. It's not a knockout. Technical victory. Which I mean, I don't know. That
Well, it's
doesn't
funny.
surprise
Sorry,
me.
looking at the map and like every swing state, if nobody would have voted for a third party, Donald Trump would have won. I mean, if they split, I mean, Nevada is the closest one because if everything would have went to Trump, he would have won. But if they would have split it, then Joe Biden still would have. So it's
Yeah.
I don't know why is the Green Party not on every ticket? Because there's like American Solidarity Party in Michigan, and it's like really like stupid as Kanye West being on a ballot.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, we have weird ones. Natural Law Party.
But yeah, there's different requirements in different states, and sometimes people don't even register in every state for their thing because it's
Yeah.
like they're not going to win anyways. They're just going through the process. They're going through the American political process just to make sure it still works for anybody.
Yeah.
Well, doesn't one of the minor parties need a certain percentage of the vote or nationwide to become a real party, like a real on the ballot in every state party? Is that a thing still?
I don't know. I'm not sure how that. Like I said, every state's different. That's part of the problem with this election results is every state's different. Everyone's doing their own thing.
Yeah, I don't think there's an automatic thing that like gets you on the ballot in every state. I believe you have to like essentially register in every state, even regardless of political party or not.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, because I know I voted Green Party in the 2016 election, but I can't remember if Iowa even went to Hillary Clinton anyway. So it wouldn't matter.
No, it didn't.
Okay, so it's like, yeah, I'm pretty sure I wouldn't have done shit, but at the same time, yeah, it definitely does. I was kind of really disappointed in Iowa because I thought we were kind of like since everybody kept saying we're a swing state and we should be closer, and it's like, nope, not really.
Well, I mean, Iowa usually like they'll flip for presidents, but not for like Congress. I mean, we'll have like Democratic representatives in the House, but our senators, I believe, are both Republicans, and the governor's Republican.
Oh, speaking of which, the massacre that was supposed to happen in the House against the Republicans did not materialize either.
Yeah.
I mean, they thought they were going to carry 12 seats. Instead, they have a smaller majority now. Well, we'll see what the final results are, but it's all likelihood. And the Senate might be a draw. I don't know. That's still some pending stuff there.
Well, yeah, that's the governor Senate race is really going to determine that, right?
Yeah. The Georgia senator race, you mean?
Oh yeah. What did I say?
Governor.
The governor's Senate race.
I knew what you meant. The governor will decide.
The state of governor.
Well, no, it was just something where, do you guys see the meme where it was like the Democrats rigged the election, but yeah, they left Mitch McConnell in office and they barely won.
Yeah. They rigged the election. They did a very bad job of it.
Yeah, my Facebook page is just mostly a bunch of awfulness. all the military people.
Oh. Well, I can figure the military is still kind of split. Like there is some people that are actually liberal or Democratic in the military.
And it's largely Republican, but like every walk of life goes to the military because that's what I liked about the military. Like I knew more vegans in the Marine Corps than I knew in college. Like that's how crazy the makeup of the military is. Or like the joke I make, which is I don't know, probably racist, but like I always say, like every unit I went to, there's always and then I make this broad statement, like I say, there's always a Miller, a Nguyen, and a Garcia. Because at every unit I went to, there was a Miller, a Nguyen, or a Garcia. And it's like Miller is either like, there's always multiple of them. It's either, a white guy or a black guy named Miller. There's always some Asian dude named Nguyen. And there's always some Hispanic dude named Garcia. Or Garcia Rodriguez and weird hyphenates that happen with the Hispanics. So.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard to tell. I don't know how people feel about different things.
But
different time.
But yeah, there's like the stuff they're supposed to like, oh, it's like 4 years of a nightmare or whatever and stuff like that. It's like, Jesus Christ, what do you think these last 4 years were? Just freedom.
Yeah, if this was your best, if this was your shining city on the hill, the last 4 years, then
They're just like, you know, the stupid shit I have in my head. The president's saying it. Like, it's a good time.
Well, see, and that's the other thing I wanted to talk about. You know, to any of my Republican friends that are listening to this, or even the people I have collisions with at work, it's like this was not the thing with Donald Trump. Is it was about Donald Trump to me in a lot of ways, because you know. I'm not, as everyone knows, I'm no liberal by any stretch of the imagination. And Donald Trump was just so obviously bad and odious a person. Like, this wasn't like Mitt Romney versus Joe Biden, where it's like, oh, okay, if you can spot the difference there, good luck. I mean, I'm sure there's a difference there, but it's really slim. Donald Trump was so awful on so many levels, and predictably. Like, well, you know what he's going to do, and oh God, he's actually going to do it, and he's going to mean it. He's going to say this stuff, and he's going to be absolutely dead serious about it. And then, but again, the other thing with Donald Trump that the people that really loved him should notice is he did not follow through on anything except tax cuts for the rich and corporations. That's the only thing what was the great Donald Trump legislation of the last 4 years? Did he build the wall? Nope. You know, did he secure America? Did he get us out of trade deals with? Are we still dealing with China? Yes. I mean, more closely than ever now.
No, but publicly he derided China, so it looked like he was doing something about China, but actually he did nothing.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, is he did nothing but serve the wealthy and the rich, which is what the Republicans are really the best at. And, you know, that's exactly what he did. So it's like, yeah, this was kind of the same old shit, but just with a carnival clown running the whole show and saying ridiculous, absurd things, you know, and he could have, the thing is, he could have just run around and, you know, acted this way and left the government on cruise control. But no, he had to meddle the whole time and make it worse and more embarrassing.
He had to draw attention to himself because he was,
insecure or whatever. Yeah, I don't. So yeah, I don't get it.
And still, like, as an embarrassment as he is, like, this isn't in any way going to destroy the Republican Party. They're just going to move on.
Nope.
This is
well, like I said, if this was Romney v. Biden, I mean, people would have been pretty sanguine. I was like, well, okay, you know. But it was just him. He polarized everything so much.
Yeah, because like the only time like I would ever consider to vote Republican was in 2000 when McCain was up for the nomination, but they went with George Bush instead.
Yeah.
That was the only time. And McCain has followed through on being like a level-headed politician, even though I didn't agree with things. But like there's so many clips that have popped up recently where he'd like be conciliatory towards Obama after losing the election. The crowd like boos him for like being conciliatory. It's like, these fucking people are fucking insane.
Kill him. Drench us with his blood. Yeah, I don't know what they want.
Like when he had to tell old people at town halls that Obama wasn't a Muslim. Like if that was Donald Trump, he would. If that was Donald Trump, he's like, yeah, he is. He just roll into it, like just play with people's like misguided notions. And
how many years when Donald Trump was still on The Apprentice, making hundreds of millions of dollars doing that, did he go around the country? I mean, he was the original birther.
Yeah,
like this guy went around the country for like 6 years. Just saying, yeah, Obama's not from America. He's not an American. I don't believe it. And he about our president, he was saying that. And then, you know, just dove into this presidential thing, and everyone thought it was maybe not quite as humorous as Kanye, but not far away from it. Or at least people that pay attention to things and can read and write were pretty like, oh, this guy's bad. But like I said, 75 million Americans or 70 million are just, they're okay with this. And again, I understand if you have some vast fortune that you're trying to protect and the Republican tax policies are more favorable to your...
But that's not 70 million people.
No. I get it if you're those people. If you're what they call 1%. I mean, there's more people that voted for him this election with incomes under $100,000 than voted for fucking Biden. I mean, it's absolutely insane. How many trailers had Trump Pence things on them? It's like, what are you doing? These people, they would have you work to death and then shoot you at like 25 before you start having medical problems if it was up to them. I mean,
Yeah.
it would be like Elysium if if these guys had their way.
Fun fact: that's what Trump jerks off to when he's sad.
Oh, okay.
No, it's
okay. Trump can't get it up anymore. So
Well, yeah, no, because he's incontinent from his Adderall addiction. So I mean, he wears adult diapers all the time. Because there's one guy did I talk about this last time? I can't remember where it was. The guy used to be his handler when he worked on The Apprentice, and he was like, "Remember that time when you were rolling on Adderall and benzo and you shit yourself and we had to change your diaper in the middle of the shooting or whatever?" Because he was talking about Joe Biden's handler had to take him off stage yesterday because he was just rambling and just making shit up and confusing things. And then he was like, "No, but Joe Biden didn't even make an appearance that day. He wasn't anywhere." So what the fuck are you talking about? And so it's just I've had a good time talking to, I guess not a good time, a fun time getting people to admit that they think Trump's a real asshole and a piece of shit, but they still vote for him anyway because otherwise the universe will collide and everything will go down the toilet in a year.
Yeah.
So my coworker is literally yelling and panicking because he said he would lose his house, he would be homeless, and he would have to change everything he did now because Biden won.
What's he doing?
I don't fucking know. He's fucking insane. Because I was asking him if he'd heard anything more about vaccines coming out anytime soon, because I hadn't seen anything since the election cycle. And he was like, "Oh no, there's everything's stalled." I'm like, "Yeah, I kind of figured that sucks." And he was like, "Well, I'm not going to get it anyway." I'm like, "Okay, just because you don't believe that it's effective enough or has too many side effects?" He's like, "No, because they put microchips in them and they're gonna fucking do." And I was like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" He's like, "Yeah, Bill Gates. He put," like, no, he didn't. He was gonna do that? And he was like, "Well, if they try and make me get him, I'm gonna fucking come out with my gun and I'll fucking protect my family."
well, I like that.
Yeah.
That
What
myth,
do you have?
that myth has been
Sir,
out.
Is that a cell phone? Because that has microchips in it.
Yeah, I know.
They track you all the time.
He literally was carrying a giant window the other day with one arm, and he was watching a YouTube video with the other. He never leaves his phone.
Yeah.
He with him all the time. And I wanted to be like, "Huh, you take that phone everywhere with you, huh?" Like,
I'm sorry, Conlon. I couldn't. I stepped on you. What were you saying?
I was just saying, like, this guy is like so bland because like this myth has been around since probably April, and he hasn't even changed any of the like details yet. So
Oh yeah.
no, because I was just literally wanting to know, but he was getting really irate, like he was going to kill people if they tried to give him the vaccine. And it's like, it doesn't work if people don't take it, right? He was like, "Well, it's fine. We don't need it." And it's like, oh, Jesus fucking Christ. And just him talking about how, like, I literally was messaging people because on Facebook, some of my wife's friends were like, "Dump all your 401ks, dump it. It's going to be worthless in a month. That's all going to..." And I was like, "You fucking idiots, don't do that. People do this shit all the time when somebody wins, transitions power. They say the stock market's going to crave and everybody's going to be homeless." And it's like, you really think that's going to happen, huh?
well, I guess now is a good time to sell because the stock market shot up pretty good. So
Yeah.
apparently,
Well, yeah, 'cause
apparently they were banking on a Biden win.
Yeah.
They actually had more value in the stock market with Biden winning than Trump winning.
Well, that was like the other things, like, could have Bernie won this election, or is it so close because Biden's like the homogenized candidate, like he's like essentially like fiscally conservative but socially progressive, that's close enough to a Republican for people to be okay with.
Yeah. I mean, it's not a. I don't think it's. I mean, that's what the. What was it? That's what the Democratic Party wanted. I mean, that's who they wanted, because Bernie Sanders was like, they went out of their way to point out. I remember like after Iowa and then the other state where he won them both, everyone was like, "Oh, Pete Buttigieg is really electable on the news." It's like, yeah, can we just not talk about the fact that Bernie Sanders won the fucking primary? We're just going to talk around that whole thing.
Yeah.
You could tell. Well, and then the Corona shit started happening, and that just fucked everything.
Yeah, because then there was no debates and it just became Biden.
Yeah. So that's.
Yeah, because
I don't know. Some
I
people are
wanna say
speculating
that I
that
think
if Bernie was a candidate, like he would have got a lot more support from the Latino community or Hispanic community, which is
Well, that's the
which
thing.
went surprisingly towards Trump this election. I guess not.
well,
I guess
okay.
not necessarily surprisingly. It just every time that happens, like this is surprising. They're a minority that's being hurt by Trump, but those are also the people like, they're not, like, well, we're the legal Americans. We don't want any more of these fuckers coming in.
Yeah, they're the most racist, like anti-immigrant. It's like, yeah, we don't want any more. I don't want to compete with anyone. They're also, people forget about the people from Mexico and South America and Central America. They're very Catholic,
Yeah.
and they don't go for all the liberal shit. That they're not comfortable with the gay marriage and the stuff like that. So yeah, you don't. A lot of those guys.
Well, that was also that was also another thing. Like, there's a lot of Andrew. Like, remember your point. I'm just going to talk for a little bit. I'm going to interrupt you once again.
Okay.
It's like people were saying like what the Democrats were losing on, and it's like all this like social progressive stuff, like just like gay rights, trans rights, stuff like that. But like that, none of that stuff was campaigned on.
No,
It just gets that's what Fox News reports as the Democratic position, and then everybody just believes it. Like, yeah, because then there's like because then they show a camera about people, protesting something. It's like, and they just associate protests with the Democratic Party.
yeah, that stuff never gets campaigned on. So it's always, yeah, it's just. I mean, if you're listening to Rush Limbaugh on Fox News, you think like Joe Biden said, we're going to force half of the American men to transition. I mean, you think that, like, it was crazy shit like that going on. I was like, yeah, no one's talking.
And
about
we're not
that.
going to defund the police. We're going to abolish the police.
No police. And we're going to do all this. We're going to take away all your guns, which is always like the kiss of death to the Democrats, because the next election, you just watch the dominoes fall, and they know this too. So none of that shit ever happens. 8 years of Obama, and no one took one gun from me.
No, and I don't think that's ever going to be a reality. There was a guy talking about he's been a Democrat for 40 years, and every time there's an election, Republicans always say they're going to take your guns, they're going to take your guns, and he's like, no one's ever taken anybody's guns. He's like, so there's no way in hell it's going to start now, because enough people own guns that, yeah, it would be hell if he tried to do that. But at the same time, I didn't hear one succinct Ashley Hinson, Joni Ernst, Trump's political ads. Nobody had an actual issue they were running on. It was all fear and all, hey, these liberal people are going to liberalize your bullshit, and they're going to make all this stuff go away or make it more expensive. They're going to make gas $50 a gallon. And I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? Even if you abolish fossil fuel cars and fossil fuel industry, you would have to do it over a grace period of 20 or 30 years to protect those industries from dying out and having a massive economic collapse. You couldn't fucking regulate that and be over in a year. That's just fucking impossible. You couldn't do that. And so it's just like, and then taxes are going to go up. And it's like, yeah, because you and me actually got fucked on our taxes. We get $20 every 2 weeks. But guess what? I used to get $2,000 in taxes back every year. Now I lose $600 every fucking year. So it's like, yeah, I made out like a bandit. Not everybody else. I mean, they don't want to talk about taxes.
Are you telling me you still paid less taxes than Trump?
No, I mean, yeah, Trump pays less taxes than almost everybody. But it's just like they're telling us, like, legal immigrants are getting all your homes and jobs, and they get all your guns now, and they're just fear-mongering bullshit
Yeah, I mean,
activists.
it's a lot of like they're taking a lot of state legislation and extrapolating as it's going to become federal legislation, which typically doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Well, it's just, I mean,
in fact, it might go the other way. Like, when do you think? You think we'll get legalized marijuana just nationwide with the Biden presidency?
I mean, might as well. Enough states are going for it, and it creates a huge tax base. You can't deny that's a big thing they need to
I'd
tax.
say the real winners this election were potheads. They definitely,
Or in Oregon, where you make a crack sandwich now.
yeah,
But
yeah, they definitely legalized it in a lot of states. I never even knew it was up for legalization. And I was like, oh, okay, whatever.
well, okay, because can I talk about one person in particular? Because I really fucking hate her, and I know Matt has really good stories about her because he used to work with her.
Yeah.
Ashley Hinson, the the former KCRG anchor that ran because she was the state legislator for the last term, but now she's going to be a
Well, okay,
congresswoman.
we'll just put allegedly in front of everything.
Oh yeah, allegedly because her opponent's doing a recount because she thinks that she cheated or whatever. Because she probably did, because she was way behind, and then 56% of that vote counted, and then she sprung up way ahead. So she has no position. Like every ad I heard about her is like, she's a mom of 2 boys. She loves farmers in America. And it's like, how fucking stupid are your voters that you can't have one fucking concrete thing to say besides, I love red and you. Like, like it sounds like you're fucking retarded. It's like she's a fucking fruitcake, and I can't believe people voted for her.
What did you see the
Sorry.
people praying and speaking in tongues outside of the Arizona vote counting?
Dow Counting Center. Yes, praying to their Jeebus that they will deliver Trump to them.
Tongues, like they were like, ah, and it's like, well, that's just mental illness.
Oh, I know. And pretty much everything from Trump is mental illness. I watched the Vice report because they went to Arizona, went to a bar with Trump supporters election night to watch the outcomes. And there was one woman they were interviewing, just like, well, Biden promised all these illegal immigrants jobs and, tax cuts and free education and free healthcare. And it's like, the fuck are you talking about, lady? Illegal? You can't promise illegal immigrants shit. They're not citizens. And they can't vote. And she was like, well, they can't vote, but their kids can because they're naturalized citizens. So they voted for Biden. They took it away from us. And it's like, fucking Jesus Christ. Because that's my favorite line from Republican dipshits is that all these legal aliens are voting and collecting Social Security and food stamps, and they're ruining this country. And I was like, there have to be millions of these people to do that. I've never seen one fucking illegal immigrant for very fucking long. Let alone think there's millions of them ruining this country right now. Like it's a weird conspiracy theory.
Yeah, well, it's just like it's all that stuff is just fear. Like Biden grew a goatee, he would look like Lenin. Like,
Well, we have one of the biggest illegal immigration busts here, but they're all working at Tyson's chicken factory.
Yeah, when I hear about those illegal immigration busts, I'm like, yeah, you go ahead and let them guys do that. So that's I'm fine with that. Yeah.
Well, because that's the thing too. Nobody wants to talk about. Yes, we have illegal immigrants in this country, but why do we have illegal immigrants that get jobs and take away jobs from Americans? Is because one, that the people that are hiring them don't want to pay a living wage and don't want to pay benefits. They want to get things for the cheapest possible price so we can have our chicken that's $1 per pound.
Yeah.
And it's like, yes, this keeps the prices lower, but it actually comes with a huge cost nobody realizes.
And 2, we're exploiting Mexico, so it's intolerable to live there.
I don't know. Like I don't know why Trump just didn't run on, instead of building a goddamn wall, because that's everybody's goddamn problem-solving technique for stopping illegal immigration. Why not run on a platform where you actually help improve your ally, Mexico? You actually either give them aid or have armed military strikes against cartels and basically clean up their fucking problem for them since they're so corrupt and stupid they can't do it for themselves.
See, that's something Trump could have done. Because, nobody's going to do that because of the political ramifications, but, Trump could have done that because he doesn't give a shit.
I know. It would be perfect for him. He could run on the Trump Against Drugs platform and corruption because he's stopping Mexico corruption, and he wouldn't give 2 shits if it looked bad. But he didn't do that. Instead, he built a shitty fucking wall. So, but then again, he is lazy, though, so I don't know.
But also, we're not the people that, because, when you ask the questions, why would you vote Trump, and then provide numerous examples, we're not the people that would ever vote for Trump, and we don't know why those people would, and, as soon as they start talking, he's like, oh, it's either because you're mentally ill, you're a hypocrite, or your faith can't allow you to vote Democrat or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really don't get the faith thing, because anybody that's even, pretends to be Christian should know he's never read the fucking Bible. He can't even hold it up right. Because you ever hear the interview was they asked him what his favorite Bible verse is?
Yeah, it was the third passage of Psalm. Like you said, it's single, and Psalms is always a plural. And it's it's something about, I don't know. He just gave some weird answer. You could tell somebody handed him, oh, yeah, Christians like this quote this, and he couldn't even remember it.
Well, there
Well,
was a fun interview he had about where like I can't even remember the book he's talking about, but he was like quoting some book, and then the guy who had read the book was like starting to like interrogate him about it, and then it became clear that somebody told him about the book and like what it like oh, reading this book means you're an intellectual, and like told him some things about it, and then when he was grilled on it, it was obvious he didn't read the book at all.
Yeah.
He just
Well,
wanted
'cause
to
the-
appear smart.
because the other answer I've heard him say a couple times in different interviews was that it's too personal question to answer. He couldn't possibly answer. That's too personal. And I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? It's like you asking me what my favorite passages in Harry Potter. I'm like, that's too personal, Colin. I can't answer that.
I don't like the way you phrased it. You phrased it in the negative, like it's a yes or no question. Like you can't phrase it.
Here you go again with your fake news. Trying to frame the context. Yeah, I mean, actually, if he said something that smart, it'd be like, "Whoa, okay."
Did you see the clip today from some guy? I think it was in Pennsylvania where he was doing a live shot, and some guy standing behind him is like, "Is this the fake news or the real news?" And the guy turns around and is like, "Fuck you."
No,
Then turns back.
he turns around and goes, "Fuck off!" And then somebody like pushes the guy away. He turns around with a giant smile.
I like the lieutenant governor of Pennsylvania. He's kind of an interesting cat. He's been around a while. I didn't recognize him because he's lost like 200 pounds, so he looks a lot different now. But he was saying talking on, I think it was Fox News or CNN, and they were like, "So how many more ballots do you think are coming in? Are they going to could Pennsylvania conceivably go back to Trump?" And he's like, "Look, there's no magical elf village of fucking Trump supporters that are going to be coming in and flipping the state for him. Okay, numerically, it's just not going to work." I don't think he said the F word, but he looks like a guy that would say it. And I thought that was pretty funny because they were just trying to shape this. Like, is there a chance maybe it was called too soon? And he's like, no, there's not. There's just not. There's only so many amount of people that live here and voted, and we know who voted, and we counted them, and there's not 50,000 coming around the bend for Donald, no matter how bad you want to believe it.
Here's about I didn't look into it myself, so I'm just gonna put it to you guys. What exactly is the Associated Press? Because I always just kind of assumed it's like a job college students do for free to get experience to move on to actually paying news jobs.
I think it's actually a what is that?
Associated Press is an American nonprofit news agency headquarters in New York City, founded in 1846. It operates as a cooperative, unincorporated association. Its members are U.S. newspapers and broadcasters. So basically, it just sounds like a loose confederation of people that want to join to a group.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, I typed in the question because I was like, well, might as well have the definition from Google.
Because I don't know, like, there's not like a figurehead of the Associated Press, but like, they seem to have like a lot of resources, especially when it comes to the election. Because there's like two things going on. Because there was like, CNN had their own electorate software or pollers, which was separate from the AP poll. Because like the Wall Street Journal was just using and the Google, like the front page Google thing, if you just Googled 2020 election results, they're using the AP results, and then Fox News uses a combination of AP results and their own thing.
Oh,
so that's why like they're somewhat. That's why like CNN wasn't giving Nevada to Biden, but the Associated Press was, because they just have different pollsters or whatever.
Oh, okay.
CNN was the more measured one for me because, like, Arizona got called super early by a lot of people, and like CNN seemed to not call anything until it was that was basically sure, like really sure it couldn't swing back.
Well, they got embarrassed their last election, right? Because then they call it for Hillary, and then like 3 hours later went to Trump.
I just thought maybe they were actually just measured and trying to be accurate, and I was like, oh, I forgot they fucked up last election.
No, I mean I think they do the best with graphical stuff and all that shit. Because if you look at the ratings, like they got the most ratings out of this news cycle for the election. Because otherwise, it's just like fucking like 40 million people watching Tucker Carlson lie to you for some reason.
Yeah. Time for my facts.
And like he's just there because Bill O'Reilly's gone. It's not because he has anything special to contribute.
Yeah, he's just a Bill O'Reilly, the less volatile Bill O'Reilly surrogate.
Who's apparently not groping women.
Well, not yet. Or he's never been proven to. Or maybe they don't do that anymore. I think after they brought Bill down, it's like, oh, he can't play. And Roger Ailes, they got rid of him. So.
Well, I remember like a couple months ago when my new coworker just started, and he was trying to make me feel bad for Tucker Carlson because he was like, "Do you hear he got another death threat?" And I'm like, huh. And I was like, well, for a guy that's heir to a fortune, doesn't have to work and just fills your head with a bunch of bullshit all day just to stoke fears and make up a bunch of bullshit to hurt people, I'd say he probably deserves it. But that's just me.
Yeah, my heart doesn't.
Well, it's a threat from a Democrat, so they don't have a gun. So.
Because I was like, yeah, it is sad that people get death threats because we shouldn't live in a world where like Dr. Fauci gets death threats, or the 60 Minutes, the lady that interviewed Donald Trump the last time for 60 Minutes, I got a bunch of death threats as soon as the interview aired, and Donald backed out of it, and they called her a bully, and they gave her a bunch of death threats. And it's like, Jesus fucking Christ, really? Or this goddamn immature that fucking... I mean, I know this country's immature because half the country voted for Trump. But at the same time, I'd like to believe people are smart enough.
A third of the country voted for Trump.
That's still too much. That's
tyranny of the third. 1/3 for Trump, 1/3 for Biden, 1/3 don't give a fuck. I'm coming back to that because the Trump supporters, again, I can sort of put myself in their shoes. The fuck it, I'm not going to vote. This doesn't matter. That really baffles me. It's like, okay.
I mean, I can understand if people, it's like, I'm not political, so I'm making the responsible decision to not vote. But that's not what they're doing. They're just...
No. Like, you're above all this, huh? Okay. Okay, yeah, I'd like to see... Well, it's like those people that rail third party. It's just like the only thing I don't like about Dan Carlin. It's like he very succinctly and correctly points out the flaws of both the Republican and Democratic Party, but then... I mean, I don't know where he stood on this election because he became immediately apolitical as soon as Trump got elected, or he just didn't want to engage in the debate. But it seemed like it's like, yeah, he was always like third party. It's like, well, they don't matter. That if it's like third party or Trump, then I'm always going to vote for whoever's. It's like I'm going to just hold my nose and vote for the Democrats. I mean, you've got to. I mean, I always do because I don't have a problem with them, but. Not generally, but just that Republican stuff, just the reality versus the fantasy of it. It's like, I don't know who sits outside that and like, yeah, I'm above all this. I'm too smart for the room. It's like, oh, are you? Okay. Well, the decisions these people make will affect your life too.
But there are those times when you get on the ballot and I feel like an idiot. It's like, well, I guess these judges are all getting reelected.
Yeah, absolutely.
My wife actually researched the ones on the ballot because she did an absentee. So, like, all the judges, basically, except for the minor ones, were all appointed by Joni Ernst and Trump. So I just voted no for all of them.
Yeah, so. I just voted yes because like none of them had anybody to contest them, so I just voted them all back in, which is probably not good on my part. But there was one I can't remember what it was for, but it was like a council thing. And there was 6 people on the ballot in 5 positions, and like I didn't know any of it, so it's just like, well, I guess the first 5 names on this list are getting votes.
I just picked which ones didn't sound like a straight white guy. So I was like, oh, that's definitely not a straight white guy. Vote.
Well, we had because our Michigan State Supreme Court, they serve 8-year terms. But you vote on them, but they're not partisan ballots, so you don't know what party they're from, so you just have to know. But we got something from the union, which is a handy voting guide because they're going to try to flip right to work in this state, try to get rid of it if they can, and they know that's going to go to the Supreme Court. So they said, well, these are the judges that have said they'll support getting rid of that, and there were 3 outsiders. All 3 of them got voted in, so
good.
That might be a path to something.
Yeah, right to work just needs to die. That's the fucking shittiest goddamn thing I've ever fucking heard of.
Yeah, I don't know who's on board.
I always interpret right to work as right to be fired by your employer for no reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all That's all it is. I could show up with a Metallica T-shirt and like, I don't like Metallica. You're fired.
Yeah.
It's like that's why unions are great. That's the only reason I joined my union is because I can't be fired for outright bullshit.
Yeah, I don't. Like I said, I for local stuff, I don't really use. I use them more now because I hate the plan I'm in so much. I'm very passively and actively resistant to any changes they want to make. It's like, oh well, Mr. Murphy, here we're making this change and this. I'll be like, get my committee man now. I'm not signing shit. Get my committee man. I never would do that before. Here, I constantly do that. Now they show up with the committee man if they want to make a change to something I'm doing. It's like, well, we're gonna review the books on this. Now, 9 times out of 10, the union guy's like, yeah, they can do that, and then he'll come counsel me later. It's like, well, yeah, they can do that. No one says you have to do a good job. It's like, oh, okay. So I do a lot of that too.
Well, yesterday I had to sign a form that I was a real person at my work.
Wait, what's that? The Q or the W8190T form or something?
Well, no, it was just I had to look at that. Supposedly I had to provide an ID, which I did not. So apparently it's because the person auditing us knew me, which is weird because it's like, well, it should be an independent auditor. If it's going to be someone that determines I'm a real person, they should pay me because it's a payroll audit just to make sure I'm real, so they pay me and I'm not, hey, you're paying somebody that doesn't show up to work, and it's like, so I had to sign. I was like, well, what am I signing? You're supposed to sign this, and it's like, well, what am I signing? It's like, I'm not just going to sign your forms. I was like, you could just have like, oh, I just said I stole from the company and I'm fired now. I'm not going to sign your form just because you told me to sign it. That's a dumb fucking reason.
I remember about 10 years ago, they came around of the plant I was at then, and they said we had to fill out citizenship forms. It said the first question was you had your name, your number, and the union told us, yeah, the guys came around, was like, yeah, this is legit. You got to sign this. They're doing a big statewide audit or whatever. And you had to sign something that said, are you a naturalized citizen? It's like, no, I'm a native-born American. Okay, then that's the end of the question. But if you're naturalized, then you have to fill out more. And there are people running around the plant raving, don't sign that. Don't. They're trying to, they're getting information for the FEMA camps or whatever. And it was like, yeah, okay, well, don't sign it then. Tell me what happens, because I'm going to sign it because I'm obviously who I say I am. I'm pretty sure I'm not from another country. So I'm cool. Nothing's going to happen because of this. But I always followed up with the guys. Hey, that form you didn't sign. Anything happened yet? So I don't want to talk about it. So I'm assuming they took them up front and said, well, you can sign this or you can quit. But yeah, the guys are just running around the plant like, this is how they're going to get us. It's like, oh.
Yeah, I wasn't that crazy. I just wanted to know what it was for. Like, it's a simple question. Like, all you had to do was say what it was for.
No, if they make us sign stuff, that we get a copy of it. It says exactly what it is. It's not.
I have to do that.
It's probably because they have to report something to some official, and then like, here's how many people we have at our office or whatever.
It's probably a thing.
I've been fighting my boss for the last fucking 3 paychecks because I worked a week of overtime to get money up to like pay something. He didn't credit me anything because he was like, "Oh, you clocked in early, but you didn't work overtime." I'm like, you weren't fucking here. How the fuck do you know I didn't work overtime? And so I had to fight to get him to put it on the paycheck. And then a week later, he was like, "Oh, I credited you 8 hours overtime, for working all these days." And I'm like, "What the fuck are you talking about? I clocked in at like 6:15. I started at 7." He's like, "I didn't work overtime." Oh, well, you can just come in for 8 hours and we'll just credit it. And I was like, "Fucker, I'm not trying to be here for fucking extra hours. Just take it off my check." Well, I don't want to do that because that'll make him look stupid. Or give me overtime I didn't work because he just has to.
You just paid me over and we'll keep it between us because I'm not doing anything extra for you. Either way, you're going to get fired.
Just work off the clock. It'll be even, Steven. It's like, you're fired. You worked off the clock.
Well, because that's the only reason I brought it up, because I was like, fuck, there's a bunch of overtime on my check. I know I didn't work it. And I know they don't like me. So it's like, well, maybe they're trying to get me fired for stealing money from the company. So I brought it up. And my mom's the accountant, so she does payroll. And she was like, well, you want me to send an email to his boss because then he'll have to take it off the next check and we don't have to fuck with it. And I'm like, no, I'm pretty sure I can get him to do it. And it was like, no, because then he'd have to admit he's a dumbass. And he's not going to do that. So I worked fucking overtime for a week, even though I didn't get paid for it technically. I mean, I did, but I didn't. So it's like,
I got paid in advance.
Well, because the first day it was a Friday, I started working to cover it. and he was off, so he credited me the overtime, and it's like, God damn it, I told you I'm fucking covered for the money you fucking paid me. He's like, oh yeah, and it's like, so yeah, take it off that week's payroll, asshole, because otherwise I'm gonna be working another hour overtime because can't seem to win. I work overtime, you don't give me the money, and I don't work overtime and you give me money. So apparently it's a weird equation we're working here. I don't know what this is. So
Game.
next time I'll just keep the money and shut the fuck up.
Yeah, that's usually what I do because sometimes shit appears on mine and it's like, what's this? Don't ask. Okay, cool. I mean, if it's like more than an hour or something, I'm gonna say something. But yeah,
I remember
weird.
The weirdest one I got is like, so it's like one time I just got like an extra like $2,000 on my check.
Yeah.
But actually it was $4,000 just showed up in my account, but for like a half a second. Because what they did is they accidentally like paid me twice for something, and then they took it away immediately. So, but it was so they used to not it used to be like use it or lose it with vacation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So if you had vacation left over at the end of the year, you either used it or it just went away. But now now if you don't use your vacation, they have to just give you a check for that vacation.
Yeah.
So like I had so much vacation that like they had to cut me an extra $2,000 check at the end of my my hiring cycle or whatever.
Well, that's good.
So yeah, that's fun when that happens. Like, oh yeah, that thing.
Well, I mean, because they really should. I don't think any employer should make you lose your vacation. My mom has like 6 weeks every year, and she never gets to use it because she's the only person that does her job. So she takes time off. She already has a desk and a whole cabinet full of shit she always has to do every day, and it never goes down. So if I'll just take time off. Oh wait, no, I can't do that because then it'll double. I won't be able to sit at my own desk. So it's like, oh yeah, I'm not going to take time off.
Yeah, I can only take like a weekend off, like literally Saturday and Sunday, one time, like a month, or else because when I get back, and even if I do that when I get back, everything's all hell. So
Oh, jeez.
and it's gonna be hell when I get back Thursday too. So.
I realize that it's a lot to expect people to do their jobs. I mean, Walmart pays better now, but at the same time, you're paying somebody $7.
Actually, they don't.
I thought they were going to $15 an hour for everybody at some point.
Oh, I mean, they already did that, but there was a thing. There's articles you've been reading about how like people are starting getting like $22 an hour.
Okay.
So what they're doing right now is they're like restructuring things, and like some people are basically they're like calling people in the office and like, do you want to take like this leadership position and then we'll pay you more, and if not, like, well, like then here's your 2 weeks notice or whatever, and they have like things to like look for new jobs and stuff. So like the person who's in charge of Frozen, he took like a leadership position or in grocery or whatever, and now they just don't have a Frozen lead anymore. They just got rid of that position. And then I'm just still like my job or whatever, which is technically dairy, and like, but I work in Frozen because the only reason I work in Frozen because nobody works Frozen, and you couldn't fit the truck in the goddamn freezer every week. But now there's no freezer lead, so that means there's nobody working Frozen when I'm not there.
What?
So that's fun.
I know I heard the reports that they cut hours a lot too to try and make up for it. And it's like, God damn it. Every time I see a study saying like, oh, Walmart only has to raise prices 1%, and they could pay for $15 an hour wage and not cut hours. And it's like, yeah, I know they don't want to raise prices, but this is fucking bullshit. You can't just fuck.
Well, see, the thing is, you don't really have to cut hours if you never give overtime.
Oh.
That's their big secret.
Well, yeah, I mean, I know that's kind of the model the post office going to, where it's like, oh, we're going to pay you $60 or $70 an hour. That's why I got paid. But with no overtime, like, you won't make shit. Like, you're going to be fucking delivering mail all day, and then because their system is you deliver the mail, and it doesn't matter how long it takes you. So I wonder if they're just going to be like, well, too bad, you worked your 8 hours, but you still got another 5 hours of delivering mail. So it's like, I guess we're getting this for free.
But yeah, I don't necessarily mind that because like I don't want to be there any longer than I have to be. So.
Oh, I know. I don't think anybody should either. But at the same time, I just wish people would fucking like realize if they paid people a decent wage, it would actually reflect in their sales too. Not because, hey, look, we're giving people money now so that everybody likes us. But since most Walmart employees spend most of their goddamn check there because they can't afford shopping anywhere else, that means even more money for Walmart at the end of the day.
Oh, that's the other thing too. Like with like social assistance programs and stuff like that. That's like literally $1 billion of Walmart thing. Because like if people get social assistance, they're taking it to Walmart, and Walmart's just getting that money right in the bank.
Well, yeah, that's the other thing too, because half of Walmart's workers are on social assistance. So if we got rid of all the Walmart workers on social assistance, we'd be a lot fucking better off too.
But I also like Walmart's just killing it right now. So.
Oh yeah, everybody. Anything that's a hardware store or a grocery store has no problem right now.
Because
like they literally making so much money.
Well, a lot of it's our online stuff, online grocery stuff, and they made that new thing where they're trying to compete with Amazon, and so that's. But yeah, because of the pandemic, because like places had to shut down, but like not Walmart.
So you killed Kmart. Now you're going after Amazon. Okay.
Going back to the vacation thing, I remember one contract, and it was one of our short contracts. They did that use it or lose it at Ford. But see, because you got a union there, they're like, okay, cool. You're not going to pay people their vacation balance. You can't deny them. They have 24 hours notice they can give you to take a week off. You can't deny it. That was like that was the other side of the coin. They opened the contract right in the middle of that and changed that back to where like, well, we're just going to pay your vacation. That was great because the boss had pissed everyone off down on like, say, the West Dock. All the West Dock guys like, hey, boss, we're taking Friday off. Oh, which one of you? All 5 of us. Oh, I got to get more notice. I can't cover it. Fuck you. You're not going to fill it out. You can't deny it. And, they would literally, I remember they had people down there just loading stuff on that West Bay, and this was at 2 plants ago. They just like, because what they're supposed to do, these guys all knew what trucks it went on to separate, to send it back to our suppliers to get it refilled. They just had like extra guys they brought in on overtime. They're like, we don't know how to do this. Just put it on the dock. And they brought in people over the weekend on overtime through Sunday, sorting it all out. Yeah. After a few guys figured that out, it was like, okay, we're going back to the old. We would like to reopen the contract for just this one thing. And everyone was like, yeah, cool. Because yeah, people would be like, if you have a lot of like if you're like me and you got 20 some years in, I have a lot of vacation time, and it's like I could literally bang off like every Friday, for, starting at like the middle of the year to the end, and it's like, oh yeah, we can't deny him that, and yeah, so now they can't deny you. So
that's what I've seen some people do who their job is like essential to like getting work done. They just like never take vacation and like kind of force them to. And then like what ends up happening is they just like, well, I guess I work, like they usually work 5 days a week. And now for the next 4 months, they only work 4 days a week.
I played that game. It's like, who's going to do stock calls? I don't know. 5,000 people work here. Pick one. See you Monday.
Yeah, but shit, your auto plant where it's like 5,000 people, and like if 1 or 2 people had to fuck off, it's the whole goddamn production. It's like, why is everything so fucked that way? Like my mom's fucked that way because she can't take time off because then nothing gets done. Well, but nobody will back her up because it's too expensive to hire somebody else.
In the workforce I'm in, you got, let's use the example 500 people. You got 500 people at a plant. 350 of those people are just drones. They just want to come in there, do their job, whether they're complete substance abusing psychopaths or they're just people that are not interested. They're just totally disconnected. So those people are never going to cover any of those jobs or learn any of those jobs. And then you got people like me that it's just like, well, I'm bored doing this. I'll try that. And then it becomes super dependent, and I'm cool with that, and I'll work along with it. But then you cut someone and make my job harder, or you add shit to my job and make it harder. And then I start getting a bad attitude. And then it's like, okay, yeah, we're going to make this, this is going to be the death of 1,000 cuts, where every day I'm going to do a little less and a little less and a little less until it becomes total chaos. I'm like, well, I couldn't keep up. I've been telling you this for months. And so you got about the people you have left, you got about like 50 people like that. And then you just got your complete drug addict scumbags that never come to work, or they work 3 days a week, whether they have to or not. And that's all you can count on them for. So that's how you get in that situation where you're hyper dependent on just 2 or 3 guys that are no more or less than nor more or less intelligent than anyone else working there. They're just willing to do it, and then you get greedy in those areas because it's not banging out widgets on the line or whatever. It's like, oh, maybe we could make some cuts back here in material handling and stuff. Maybe one less guy to load this truck or something. And then all of a sudden it just starts piling up. And then you're like, I'm taking my vacation. Good luck. And it's like, who knows how to do this? No one. It's like, oh, yeah, I guess you fucked that up. But see, that's called the cycle of greed. That's how it works.
So time for the impossible transition. Does anybody have anything else about the election that they want to bring up or anything like that?
No, I got a new TV.
Oh, okay. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, we can talk about that. It's not here yet.
Oh, okay.
Not a it's been a number of years. Huh?
I'm just making a song reference.
It's been a long time, sweet Jesus. But no, it's we got you know how big our living room is.
Yeah.
It's real long. Well, now it's getting to the point like the TV we have. It's getting harder to see, and so and we've had that one, I don't know, 8 years or something. So it's Grayson's inheriting that one. That's a 65-inch. So I got a 75-inch Samsung Q90T. It's 4K Ultra HD with 240.
Does it have HDR?
No, it says UHD, whatever that is.
Yeah, what's high HDR? High dynamic range. It's a light. Okay, it's a lighting thing for video games. So.
Oh yeah. It has quantum HDR, 16 times oversampling, AI assist, color induction, whatever the hell that means. I saw one in a store and it's like, oh, this is amazing. It has the screen where if there's bright light coming at the screen, it disperses it, so it doesn't really affect.
Yeah.
It has a frame rate of 240. What else does it do? Smart TV. I've never had one of those.
It's basically like a Fire Stick just on your TV.
Yeah.
Although sometimes that stuff sucks because, like, you don't have the apps you need on the TV.
Oh.
Because it's like sometimes like that stuff like, well, we have HBO Max, but we don't have Apple TV, shit like that. But
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm not.
but you can download apps to your TV like you would your iPad and stuff, and just so then you could watch Netflix right from your TV without a separate Fire Stick or whatever.
Okay. So yeah, this was last year's model because the new stuff's 8K, and for some reason those are like $6,000 or something. Like, well, I'm not spending that kind of money on
and also you don't need 8K because you can't actually visually percept 8K.
Yeah, I thought 4K was enough. It's like, this looks beautiful. It's like, this is fine.
I forget, somebody had the thing where it's like 8K makes a difference if the screen is huge and you're very far away.
Okay.
It's like, oh, I can notice this detail from half a mile away. Like, that's the advantage of 8K. But if it's in your living room, there's no reason a TV needs to be 8K other than it's an extra number they can put on the box.
Yeah. Yeah, so this is it's the biggest TV. I've never had a 75-inch TV. So that's pretty crazy. Because I measured it out, and that's like the biggest I can go with the space I have. Otherwise, I'd have to mount it on the far wall, and I'm not doing that because we have to rearrange the whole living room.
Get a projector. Make it as big as you want.
It's like I got 850 inches. So yeah, this was the big family gift for all of us to watch TV on a giant TV screen. And then Grayson's going to get the Sharp. I found out Sharp doesn't make TVs anymore. At least they're not widely available.
Well, I hear the thing now. The TV that's like it's been in the rage for the past couple of years. It's one of the LG TVs. Because they because I forget what it is. It's like, so there's like LCD screens, but then there's OLEDs, which are more expensive, but like brighter and darker. They do the contrast very well, and they have some proprietary thing on it. So their OLED screens are very good, and they do all the HDR and 4K stuff, but they're also like, a bit more expensive. But
yeah, these are called QLEDs, whatever that means.
yeah, I think all of Samsung's like TVs always have like a Q designation at the start of it. But yeah.
Yeah, mine does because when I got mine a couple years ago, it has the Q designation in front of it.
Yeah, this isn't the
But mine's only a humble 50-inch TV, though. You
yeah.
But also like, but yeah, it's a Samsung one, so it's gonna be very good because like all like pretty much every TV that's worth a shit is made in Korea.
Okay.
Because you know Vizio.
Yeah.
So how it can do budget TVs is because the company that makes the LCD screens, like the manufacturing company, like Vizio owns it. And all the screens that are being made for like Samsung and Sony are made at that factory, and then they just pull shit off the line and make their own TVs.
Ah, I see.
So that's why you can get like Vizios that like have comparable like detail. They're usually, they're usually what do you say? They're deficient compared to like Samsung's and Sony's, but there's enough there for the average user that you'll get a lot out of it for the price. So that's how Vizio does its shit.
Oh, I see. Okay. Oh, and this also has, because we were looking at the Sony Bravia in the same category, because remember it has a thing where the screen is also the speaker
Yeah.
and an objective motion sound. Well, the problem is those Bravias are just a little bit more money than I'm comfortable spending. But this also has that objective sound tracking, because so like the whole screen's a speaker. Their speaker, well, they don't have the screen as a speaker, but they have like 8 little speakers all around the TV.
Yeah, it's like your phone.
So if something goes from the right to the left on it sounds like it's going from the right to the left across the screen, which is it's kind of cool. But yeah, we'll see how this works out. I got new HDMI.
I like my. Oh, sorry.
But
How many HDMI ports does it have on it?
I don't know. Look at that.
Does it have HDMI 2 ports?
Don't. Well, this is last year's model, so I don't know when that came out.
I actually don't know.
Yeah, it has both.
Okay.
It has
But-
more old school HDMI cables, but it has 2 HDMI 2 hookups also.
Okay. Yeah, I don't really know the difference. I know there's supposed to be something with HDMI 2 that's better with handshaking stuff. So like when you
Okay.
plug a machine into another thing, like that's apparently what HDMI was bad at, was the whole handshake process. Is like, oh, you're recognizing like, oh, you're a video screen or you're an audio output or whatever.
Oh, okay.
Because like the HDMI, it does like video and audio. That shit used to be all separated. Now it's all into one. But there was that became the weird choke point where, like, in like you as a consumer wouldn't do it, but like if you're doing like high end production stuff, that was infuriating.
Oh, okay.
And
Oh, no, wait. I was wrong. These are all HDMI 2 connections.
Oh, okay.
Those are USB connections. Okay.
Oh, okay.
So it's got those too.
So
It's
now
got
you can
HDMI
charge your
2.
phone on your TV.
There's something if you have a Samsung phone and you bring it close to this, they pair.
Yeah.
And you can do stuff through your phone. I don't have a Samsung phone yet, so.
Well, you
Yeah,
used to.
my wife had to download an app to pair it with ours, so ours is cool.
I got a couple things to share.
Okay.
Right?
So, oops, this is it's just all washing out. Let's see if it shows up at some point. We'll get it real close. There you go.
Okay, it's a cow and a pig sweating and sitting down, and it says
Oh, it's
Chinese.
This is a green tea Kit Kat from Japan.
okay.
Oh, okay.
I was gonna hope it wasn't the wasabi one since it was green, but
I hear those ones are good.
oh, okay.
Not necessarily like, do I want to eat this, but it's like it doesn't shy away from being a wasabi flavored Kit Kat, but it also it's like it's not intense. So, but it's different. Anyways, yeah. So green tea Kit Kats are pretty awesome. They're just white chocolate Kit Kats infused with green tea,
Okay.
but not in a way that like gets in your way. They just like it's very enjoyable. But yeah, I always hear people rave about the green tea Kit Kats, and so I bought some off of Amazon. So
Oh, okay.
I think-
I've never heard of those.
yeah. Japan has like 20 different flavors of Kit Kat. Like it's its own thing there.
Don't they have like watermelon flavored Pepsi and stuff?
Yeah,
too?
yeah, yeah.
All this off the wall stuff.
But yeah, they come in the smaller package. It's almost like Halloween candy in the size of it. It's just like it's two little ones, so that's all you get. But like but yeah, I recommend it. You can probably get if you have an Asian grocer in your town, you can probably find them there.
We got plenty of those. I got places I can go buy live turtles today.
But yeah, they also have an Amazon, and it wasn't like when I ordered those. What was it? The energy bars from Metal Gear Solid 3. Like I ordered those, and those had to be shipped from Japan. But these they just had them ready to go, so I got them. Like it came here in like 2 days.
Oh, cool.
Also, then they came 3 packages with like I don't know, like 12 of them each. So like over the 3 days, I ate all those packages. So
Yeah.
this is the other one. I got another board game.
Yellow Yangtze.
Yeah, Yellow and Yangtze. So what this is? So there's a guy named Reiner Knizia,
Okay.
and he's supposedly a genius board game maker. So I wanted to get a Reiner Knizia game, but he made a lot of them in the 90s, and they're not in print anymore. So there's a game he made called Through the Desert, and it's very Catan-esque. And I know Andrew, you'll know that, but like Nathan, you probably don't. It's basically
No.
like you're kind of managing growing different cities and like building roads, and like different things give you different points at the end of the game, and like whoever has the most points at the end of the game, you win. It's almost like an RTS game or a turn-based game, but you're not necessarily fighting each other. You're just kind of like trying to reach goals before the other person.
Yeah, and you kind of trade between each other too, so it's kind of somewhat cooperative game.
Yeah. So that's what that game kind of was. Then he had a sequel to it called Blue Lagoon, which was like more, it was like faster and also a cheaper game. And then he had another one called Tigris and Euphrates, and it was grid based, it was square based, and so he made another version of that game. And so this one's Yellow and Yangtze, so you got 2 rivers, but this one is hexagon based.
Okay.
But yeah, you're just kind of, it's like you're 2 to 3 players, and like you have like this little sheet that you put in front of you to hide like your cards or whatever, and you're trying to like build cities and monuments and stuff too, but also like things like there's like a marketplace and things pick up. But yeah, so I wanted to get a Reiner Knizia game just to see how it was. So because he's a German mathematician. He has a doctorate in math, and he's German, and he made a fuck ton of money on the stock market, retired, and then just made games for the rest of his life.
Nice. Good life.
So yeah, apparently, he's a genius game maker, and so I got one of his games. So
That's good.
And I haven't really done anything besides just hanging out at the house, painting shit, and going to work. So,
hey, that works. I mean, what are you working on now? Anything we'd recognize?
well, I finished for my last weekend's game at the shop. I had 10 flying nuns with swords and guns. So, battle sisters with jetpacks.
Huh.
Put together a bunch of other stuff too, because I was like, because my car payment came out twice last month. So it was like, oh, okay, I don't owe a car. Oh, don't owe a car payment in October, so I guess I'll spend that on shit I want for the most part. So I mean, bought other stuff too, but it's just like mostly bought a bunch of models I didn't really need. But other than I got too many.
Oh, and I saw the the Babysitter Killer Queen movie,
Okay, yeah, I saw you had that on the list.
which was the sequel. We watched The Babysitter the week before, so I watched the sequel. Because Nathan like heard bad things. I was like, I decided to just like run through it real quick and was like, see if it was bad. And it's like, it's not necessarily like bad. It's just like it doesn't necessarily add anything. And also, like really kind of the best part of the first movie is Samara Weaving.
Yeah.
But in this movie, she's like basically in the background. Like she's almost essentially not in it until like the very end of the movie.
Oh,
But
okay.
the interesting thing they do with her in the first movie is that like, you know, she's not necessarily trying to kill the kid, but she is killing other people. So that's like, you know, she's a bad person. But there's like moments where she's like doesn't want to kill him, which makes her like, oh, maybe she's not a bad person, even though she is.
Yeah.
So they play more with that here, which is interesting, but ultimately it doesn't necessarily. You have to you have to go through 3/4 of the movie, which isn't as interesting to get to that part, and there's no really promise that they're going to make it more interesting. It just kind of ends. So, and ends on a happy note, I guess. But yeah, so yeah. It's not as good, but it's still, I guess, if you're invested, it's worth watching. But yeah, so
No, because my wife wanted to watch it, and I don't know if she still has or not. Because I didn't mind the first one. It just wasn't anything, and I was like, oh, this needs a sequel. So, because you guys seem to like the first one.
yeah.
The first one wasn't bad.
But it's also like we had like low expectations, and it met those low expectations.
Yeah.
and like you know, we were talking last week that like, you know, Mick G is mostly like a music video director, and like that's kind of what he does well, and that's essentially what that movie was. You know, there wasn't necessarily like deep story that you really got into. It's like, well, this is kind of cool and silly.
There's no stunning character development or insight, and yeah.
Well, like Samara Weaving stuff is interesting, but yes, but that's the most interesting thing. We watched another Netflix movie this week.
Yes, well, some of us did.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Well, now we get to convince Andrew to watch the movie, or we'll reveal everything and he doesn't need to.
Boy, what? Yeah, it's called The Trial of the Chicago 7, which is something that happened in the. Well, let's see. This happened in the 1968.
Yeah, which I wasn't aware of this. Like, I think I've heard of the Chicago 7 before, but then when they mentioned all the names, the only name I recognized was oh fuck, now I forgot his name. The Black Panther guy.
Oh,
Chadwick Boseman.
What's that?
Chadwick Boseman.
No, the political organization.
Oh,
Black
okay.
Panther.
I was like, what?
No, what's his name?
Barry.
Was it
Yeah,
Barry? What?
Barry Seal or Bobby Seal. I'm sorry, Bobby Seal.
Yeah, that's the only name that I recognize. Like, I vaguely recognize. I didn't like. It's like that sounds familiar, but I didn't know how it was associated. But anyways, this was there was during the Democratic National Convention, there was a few riots that happened, and then they decided that they were going to try these guys for inciting a riot or crossing state lines to incite the riot. That was like the very specific legal determination.
Yeah, and it was actually rules that were written to stop like the freedom marches and stuff, the stuff that Martin Luther King was doing.
Yeah.
It was named after a black guy. It was called Those Laws. I forget which one they said it was, but yeah.
Because they were created, but they were never used before.
Right,
And this is the first time they were used.
Threaten people, yeah.
But yeah, this is Aaron Sorkin wrote and directed this.
Yeah.
Which he usually doesn't direct movies. This is his second movie he's directed. So there's some weird edits. And I don't know if that was production issues or if they're just like, fuck it, it's good enough. But there were some weird edits. Because there's that time in the court where like the judge wants to make the point that his Hoffman name and the Abby Hoffman aren't related whatsoever.
Right.
And there's a joke where where was it Frank Langella? Is that who plays him?
Yeah.
And and then he's like trying to make the point, and then he just like suddenly he's yelling at him, like, we're not related or whatever. And it's like you can tell like, oh, there was like a 5-minute part of that scene that was just cut out, and they just got to the point and when I moved on.
Yeah, because that's Sacha Baron Cohen is like, Dad, no. Which that's Abby Hoffman actually did shit like that.
Yeah.
Uh,
Um,
well, this movie was this movie had a kind of a weird production cycle
oh, okay, that makes sense then.
because it was this was intended to be a theater release through Paramount, and then they decided like, well, because of the pandemic, we're not going to pack the theaters with this, and they because they were filming it they started filming it November 2019.
Yeah.
So then by the time they had it done, there was like all kinds of the pandemic had started. It's like, well, we're not going to pack theaters with this. So then they sold it to Netflix, and I guess it got they wanted Aaron Sorkin, the people, do another pass on it to edit it a little more.
Oh, okay.
Usually Netflix doesn't do that; they just distribute things. But I heard they wanted this edited a little more.
Okay, that
So-
makes sense why there's weird edits then, because
Yeah.
it seems
Well,
like if you want it further edited and you can't do reshoots, then that explains the weirdness.
They also cut out a lot of the riot scenes. There were more of those filmed than appeared in the movie because there are actual riots going on right now. Which I thought is why this movie was timely, because this stuff's kind of going on again.
Yeah,
But apparently they decided we're going to throttle back on that a little bit. So that's why the riot scenes seem almost out of place and disjointed. Because like,
Yeah.
are they talking about the same riot or two separate ones? Because I know most of this story I know from Greg Conlon's favorite book, Nixonland. This took place at the DNC, the National Convention in Chicago. And this is when Mayor Daley was basically like, yeah, run them down, shoot them. These are Democrats talking about. This is 1968. So,
but
yeah.
they didn't bring up the hot dog vendors in this movie, so they really missed on
Oh,
that.
yeah. Gonna order 40,000 pizzas to the DNC. That'll show them. Yeah, these multi-billion-dollar organizations. Are gonna be-
That's my common argument. I can't say Nixonland's a bad book, but why I stopped reading it is there's a point where like they're going into too much detail about Nixon, where it's like how far his corruption goes, and it's like down to like hot dog vendors like gouging prices at the DNC. It's like, what does this have to do with Nixon?
yeah.
But anyways,
Well, yeah, these guys came from New York, and they're part of XYZ Stop the War movements and other liberal movements of the 1960s, which was sort of reaching its apex at that time too, because this was his first, or how long had Nixon been in office? That was his first term,
yeah.
and he's trying to end the Vietnam War, but they're still drafting people and.
Yeah, that stuff I've never seen before. Where like they had the capsules with the dates on it. If you're born in this date, you're getting drafted. Like I never knew that shit.
I'm not sure. Yeah, there was something like, you can ask Dad about that because
Yeah.
he got drafted. But there's something about having a
Dad,
high.
Dad did both. Dad got drafted and enlisted at the same
Yeah.
time.
Dad got enlist drafted
he
out of college.
he had to go to MEPS twice, which is a military entrance program. So he enlisted and like had to go there, and then he got drafted and had to go there and do it again and just do the process over again.
So weird. It's just, you must do it.
It's like I already enlisted. It's like, but this thing, if we don't go through the process, then it doesn't work.
Yeah, magic won't happen. Can't send you to Vietnam and transform you into a corpse. Like, yeah, maybe we shouldn't do that.
But we'd have to ask him about that. So
Yeah, Dad would know a lot more about that than me.
it being that it happened to him.
Yeah.
And the other weird thing, which like I wouldn't have expected, or maybe this is just, I mean, this is the thing. Like Aaron Sorkin, like he romanticizes things. So like this whole thing, like it's like, oh, what a great portrayal of this thing, and like I have to, and but I have to believe like there's no way it happened in this order or whatever. It's like you have to imagine that this is not exactly how things happen, but this is the romanticized Aaron Sorkin version of it. So
Well, this was kind of, this was a trial that took place over the course of 11 months, I think,
okay.
because it involves 7 people, and I'm just
Well, also that's the thing I didn't know, because they say trial days, but I didn't know if that was like business days, like are they doing 5 trials a week, and then there's 2 week, and then you got the weekend off, and like they didn't really explain the time going on. It was just saying like how many the trial days there were.
Well, as I remember, when you're trying to try this number of people at the same time in the federal courts for real serious stuff, it's like super, like, so one day it was just like, okay, this is why we're going to convict this guy, and then the next day, this is why we're going to convict this guy, but they have to run through it all.
Yeah.
Where the movies get it weird is they kind of mix all the cross defense back and forth, and just the high notes get captured.
Yeah,
like when,
yeah.
I object to this lawlessness. He never made that statement all at one time. He made that statement several times over the course of many things. But yeah, if you were a juror on this, you would be bored out of your fucking mind.
But the other moment, like, I don't know, like, if like this was a thing back then, but like there's like at the end of the day, they have like the American flag and they play all the people who died in Vietnam, and
Yeah.
like everyone's standing there like almost at the position of attention to give, like, you know, to give honor to the people who have died, which like
Yeah.
I just can't imagine that nowadays.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I know that what's that guy's name? Richard Schultz, the actual prosecutor that Joseph Gordon-Levitt played, he's still alive.
Yeah.
And like 84 years old now, and he gave an interview that tagged along with this, and they were like, how much of it's true? It's like, well, how much of any 2-hour legal movie is true based on a complicated case like that? But he said like the stuff with Bobby Seals and stuff like that judge really hated that guy that much. And they did stand up and object and say, look, his conviction is thrown out. This we can't do. You can't duct tape this guy to a chair and or handcuff him to a chair and duct tape it shut. It's like we're not gonna carry on with a trial like that. That's absolutely insane.
Yeah, because it's called the trial of the Chicago 7, but there's 8 people, and Bobby Seale is the 8th person who just got thrown on this thing to essentially make them look like thuggier, because they thought like a white jury and seeing a black guy there, it's like they're going to convict him just because he's a Black Panther.
He's also the national leader of the Black Panther.
Yeah,
Party.
yeah.
It was a chance to. And do you know how many of those guys died suspiciously?
A lot.
Oh yeah, like if you read the books about like Huey Newton and some of those other guys, it's like, oh, these people all died suspiciously of overdoses then they didn't take drugs and like gunshot wounds, self-inflicted gunshot wounds to the back of the head, and it's like, oh boy, wow, that's nuts. Bobby Seale's actually still alive, but
Okay, I thought.
yeah, he's still around.
I didn't look it up. I was just like, I think that guy's still alive.
Like probably in his late 80s, early 90s, but he's around.
Because I thought I heard a radio interview with him, and I thought that's why I recognized the name.
I think he went on to work in music after a while. I think
Huh.
he just kind of got tired of just constantly being.
Because I thought he did like, it was like Radiolab, I think, or somebody that they did that like that episode about gun control and how like it all stems out of like Ronald Reagan and the Black Panther Party, like
Yeah.
like shadowing police guys with long guns because it was legal, and then like that's how like gun control came about, was Ronald Reagan not liking that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, gun control has always been about keeping black people disarmed. Like the NRA, that was their whole thing. Like they were originally a gun control organization founded after the Civil War.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's
Oh yeah, and how the NRA got completely taken over and
yeah.
through
subvert.
political. Yeah. Anyway, but anyways.
Then became the good thing that it is today. Still a dues paying member, don't know why. Let's see. But yeah, I mean all these people were really good, were real people.
Yeah.
Like Abby Hoffman famously wrote like the Steal This Book, the guide to the counterculture in America.
Yeah.
That's why he's a best-selling author, but they don't know how many books he sold because he's titled his book "Steal This Book." That's kind of a joke. I mean, nobody knows. And of course, Sacha Baron Cohen did a good job playing Abby Hoffman, but I like it that he didn't stand out a lot, other than just being the 7-foot-tall Borat guy. He kind of the other actors he played.
Oh, this is a fantastic cast.
Yeah. So
And not necessarily a lot of people I recognize.
No, it's a lot of British actors and then some people you've seen in other things. But
Yeah, I remember
really-
the one lawyer, Kussler. It was Kunstler?
Kunstler.
He was like the Russian dude in the Bridge of Spies movie.
Yep.
That's the last thing I recognize him from. But here he's doing like a Chicago accent and has more character.
Yeah, actually seemed like a fun guy in a way. Because remember, he was talking to the guy. He's like, "Yeah, I'm a conscientious objector." Yeah, in World War II of all wars. I want, yeah, you know, it's like, well,
Yeah, that guy has great. The other great line he has is the one hippie guy, Sasha Baron Cohen's second. He's like, "Why don't I see people like me on a jury?" And he goes, "Have any of you ever served jury duty?" And nobody says anything. He says, "Then shut the fuck up."
or no, he said, how many of you have shown up for jury duty?
Yeah.
Yeah. That was Jerry Rubin was the person's real name.
Okay. Yeah.
And then, the guy who played John Carroll Lynch played Dellinger. But the judge kept calling him Derringer or Dillinger.
Yeah.
Remember the judge couldn't even keep the names right?
Yeah. They always corrected him on everyone's names.
Yeah.
Because what was that? The one guy's wine glass, and he calls him like Rhine glass or something.
Yeah.
Or one guy was Weiner, but he kept calling him Wiener.
Yeah. It's Wiener, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, those two guys those two guys they basically have no scenes other than like those couple moments. They have like no great dialogue. They're just kind of present.
Well, those are two other guys I think that had like a bigger story that got cut.
Yeah.
Remember what Kunstler said? It's like you guys are the nice, clean-cut guys that the jury's going to feel good about. Okay, we'll let them go, but these other guys are fucked.
Yeah.
They're really looking to prosecute like 4 of them, they said. And that's, they ended up prosecuting them all, and then it got flipped over on appeal like 6 months later and prosecuted none of them. So. And then, Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Joseph Gordon-Levitt did a good job as that prosecutor.
Yeah.
He seemed like a decent guy with a tough job.
Yeah.
It's like he didn't have a lot of malice, but
Well, it's like, he's working for essentially the Nixon administration, but he seems to like have his head on the shoulders about like what's going on here. But he's gonna do his job, but he's not necessarily like he's not taking it personally. He's not like demonizing them, because there's that point where they have the scene in the park where Abby Hoffman's like, I think you're a good guy. You're just on the other side of the fence or whatever.
yeah. And I thought that they did a good job with John Mitchell, who was Joseph Gordon-Levitt's boss.
Yeah.
The U.S. Attorney General. That guy was really like that. He was one of Nixon's. I think he was Nixon's only real friend, they said. Because he wasn't like super qualified for that job, but Nixon trusted him. Because he worked with Nixon a lot when he was under Eisenhower, and that's how they became really good friends. Mitchell was the only guy that Nixon would confide in. But when Nixon wanted something done, it's like that's the guy you go to, and Nixon hated those long-haired weird people, as they called them. These hippies or whatever, and they're dope. Meanwhile, he's taking like phenobarbital and whiskey. It's like, yeah, crazy dope, Mr. President. Yeah, you got him. But yeah, all in all, kind of an interesting set piece about history. Maybe not the best court drama I've ever seen, but
No, but
the backstories of the people and how they interpreted events because it's something I don't know a lot about. So I went into it like, I know some of these names, I know some of these characters, but I don't, what did they do? And this sort of filled in the gaps there. And how some of the peace activists were just like, you're just in this for the action, like you don't care about peace. And then some of them really cared too much. And because like the one guy who punched the U.S. Marshal and said he was sorry, like that guy's a famous pacifist. but the judge had him so wrangled he's punching a U.S. Marshal. Which I don't know if that really happened or not, but yeah, it seemed dramatic. I had liked Frank Langella a lot as the confused judge from like earlier times. It's like, this is how you act in court. Respect this court. It's like, and all these guys are like, fuck you. These completely anti-system people that are like, or it's not, Abby Hoffman definitely.
Yeah, like one point they dress up in judge robes. And then,
that really happened.
And they told them to take it off, and they were dressed up as cops underneath the robes. There was like 5,000 like contempt of court led that like this entire defense.
Yep.
Like even the lawyers were held in contempt.
Yeah, everyone was held in contempt, but I don't know.
What's actually the like ramification of being held in contempt of court?
I don't know. I think it's up to the judge. It can either be fines or jail time.
Okay.
I think you can be disbarred for it if it's serious enough. But that's one of those things. I'm not a lawyer. I just vaguely know
Yeah.
different things at different times.
I'm an expert on TV lawyers.
I'm a John Grisham lawyer, but I know what some of it means. But yeah, I don't know what all of it. And this is federal court, which is a whole nother level of weird.
Yeah.
It's where it's like when they had the former attorney general come in, and it's like, yeah, you can give a testimony, but we're going to do it. And they use some Latin term where the judge was going to decide whether this testimony was germane and the jury should hear it. And of course he was like, no, because they basically, the former attorney general, when they investigated this, because this happened under the Johnson administration, the actual crime, they were like, oh yeah, the Chicago police started that riot. Like, no question they started it. But the current Nixon Justice Department was like, no, it was the rioters. It was the hippies that started the riot. But they decided to throw that testimony out, and the jury couldn't even hear it.
Yeah. I think I got this right. Voir dire.
Voir dire, yeah, that's it. Which means the judge can listen to it, but the jury can't unless the judge decides.
Yeah, the judge will listen to it, and if he decides it's relevant to the case, they'll have the jury come in and basically like redo the whole thing over again.
Yeah,
but of course that didn't happen.
No,
like they didn't even like. He asked them like, are the jurors even going to be informed that the previous attorney general was here giving testimony? And it's like, no, they're not.
Yep. And that judge was a real person. Continued to serve on the bench until he died of natural causes. In 1983, he was 88 years old.
And like, this is like kind of like maybe the change in the country, but like you would think that like where this was taking place would be in a super conservative place, but like this was in Illinois. This is a super democratic place, and like these people it's like that was just kind of like the stuck up culture at the time.
Well, yeah, you got to remember. I mean, yeah, Chicago was a democratic city, but Richard Daley was the mayor.
Yeah,
and he was like a machine politician. And he was like, I'm going to do what makes me look good. Now, the party's principles or whatever, fuck that. Whatever makes me look good, and whatever, if I can put the least amount of effort and hide all the corruption that's going on, massive corruption under the
yes.
And still look good and keep my mayorship, yeah, I'm fine. But yeah, he's purely machine politician, Democrat in name only. But yeah, it was very typical of it's of that time. Like it was different kind of Democrats.
Yeah.
I mean, now we think like Abby Hoffman would be the president. It's not that crazy.
It's just it's how it's presented in the movie to be more like readable to the audience, but like it seemed obvious what was going on here, that like this was all being done to a disadvantage to the defense on purpose by like the entire court. Which like it feels like if I was there, that would be transparent, but because this is a movie, like they need to tell you that directly. I don't know how transparent it was during the actual trial, but
engaging the system back then, you would be dealing with let's see, federal judges would be after World War II, so you're probably dealing with guys that were appointed either by because federal judges are for life unless they resign. You'd be dealing with the guys that were appointed by like Eisenhower or maybe Truman. Like you'd have people in those mindsets would be judging people like Abby Hoffman. And they'd be like, huh? That'd be like us talking like punk rock to grandma and grandpa. No, this isn't gonna work. So yeah, that was And it was also the Nixon Justice Department, so God knows how they might have fixed it to get that judge because like he'll play ball, you know. It's that kind of that Nixon shit that everyone loves. But yeah,
Yeah, that was the Chicago 7.
good movie. It was 2
Yeah.
hours and 15 minutes, and I was watching it, and I did a lot of research while I was watching it. Like who, what, like why do I know this name? Oh yeah, that guy. And it's also interesting because of what some of the stuff that's going on now.
Yeah.
Because we've had riots, big scale riots in this country for the first time, I think, since like late 70s.
Yeah.
And they've had a few. They've had some exceptional, like when the cops beat the hell out of that guy in Los Angeles, and the judge was like, or the jury was like, not guilty. It's like, what? Beating that guy they were taking turns on that guy. What was that one? The
LA riots with Rodney King.
Rodney King, yeah, they were just like, and they got it on film. It's like the testimony. We'll see what happened, but for some reason they're like, "No, it's not guilty." So yeah, so I think it was the last big scale riots before the stuff we've had now, and even the stuff we've had now hasn't been nearly as destructive as that.
No.
Because that was like
Well, yeah, it's protests being recategorized as riots because there's destruction, but it's also
Yeah.
people being opportunistic. So
yeah, it's opportunistic looting with a protest about, hey, cops, stop murdering people. We've told you this. We've been doing this for how long? Can we try something else? So
we're all at home, and you're still murdering black people.
yeah, everyone's quarantined, and we're still gonna. Oh no, that's accepted procedure. It's like what, to put your full body weight on somebody's windpipe? What? Yeah, that's an accepted procedure, all right, for death. No, this is how we train. No, you don't. No one's trained that way. But I don't want to get into that. Even though I think that was horrible, and it was shown on TV again. It's like right there on TV. Maybe we should give the cops a break. It's like, no, I don't. No, not when they kill someone right in front of you. But yeah, this is the kind of shit that cops do now too. Is the stuff that went on in this movie.
Wait, you see that part where they're taking their name and badge off, and like, oh, we saw that happen.
Yeah,
they didn't even go to work with their name and badge.
It's the reason those names are velcroed on their body armor. It's time to go special ops. It's like, oh, you're gonna kill someone, okay?
Or just spray innocent people with pepper spray.
or whatever. Yeah. Now, one thing that's really sinister about this time, they didn't really get into it a lot, but what was like the FBI was like the evil behind the evil here too, because they didn't really talk about COINTELPRO a lot. They did mention it, and how these protest groups were being infiltrated by. Now here they made it look like it was all state police, and there was one lady that was an FBI agent, but yeah, that stuff was going on. But they weren't just like we have FBI.
She was FBI. Okay.
Yeah, she was the only one who was FBI. Everyone else was like state police or something.
Okay, yeah, because I thought they were all undercover cops, so I just associated her with the other undercover cops.
No, I only remembered her because she was a really beautiful looking actress, and it's like, oh, she's like, and she was perfectly, like the way they costumed her and did her makeup, she looks exactly like some lady from the '60s, and it's like, oh, she's the FBI agent in the group. But like now we have FBI agents that do that stuff all the time too, as far as infiltrating things, but planting evidence and murdering people, it's not so common now as it was then. Because that COINTELPRO stuff, they were just like killing people. Like if somebody got so bad, it's like, can we pin an arrest on them? Can we get them with hookers? Nope. Well, J. Edgar Hoover says they gotta die, and we don't do that much anymore. At least not that they can prove. But yeah. That was another scary thing that these people had to deal with too, was the real scary federal law enforcement people that were basically run by a tyrant named Hoover that was okay with hurting people, and was a lot of bad stuff going on back then. But it was a cultural revolution that did change things. It changed it somewhat. Change everything. It wasn't the social transformation they wanted, but things are a lot less brutal now, I think, than they were then.
Yeah.
even though there's people that are working hard to reverse that trend. It's like, we need to get back to the killing.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Well, I mean, there's people that want it. There's people that certainly want to make it happen. I mean, if this last president we had had a brain in his head, he probably would have started doing things like that. But this guy was too.
Well, you still got 2 months to do it. So.
Yeah, well, he could still do some things. But.
Well, no, it was just something where somebody made a valid point where it's like, yeah, this messaging really worked, even though the guy's a fucking idiot and he couldn't put a plan together to save his life. But if somebody that's actually intelligent uses the same shit, we're all fucking doomed because all the fucking idiots want vote us 2-1.
I like how this came on background, so I don't know how true it is. But one of the assistants to the Joint Chiefs of Staff kind of said to a reporter, he didn't say it with his name. He said, I'll tell you this, but I'll deny it. But they were talking about, like, what Trump might do if, he doesn't pass power along. And he said, we've worked with Trump for 4 years. The guy is so fucking lazy. If we came down and sat down to him, it's like, Mr. President, we want to have a military coup. We want you to be like the leader of the country, and we're going to overthrow America. He would just get bored and go eat a hamburger. And he couldn't get the guy to pay attention long enough, even if you're like, we'll make you president for life. I'm going to go see what they're saying on Fox and Friends. It's like, oh, Jesus Christ. He said even if we wanted to have a coup, Trump is too lazy. He just doesn't have he wants to see what they're saying about him on Fox and Friends.
Yeah, that's why I never got him as an authoritarian figure, because he's just too. I don't know how he's ever had the reputation of running a business and like being a businessman, because his nice quote of "I'm a businessman, I do business" like last week, where it's like, God damn, are you that fucking stupid? I thought he was just, because he always paraphrases. He always says, he never says anything actually concrete and relative. But it's just like, God damn, how the fuck is somebody this stupid?
Well, that's why he never gets in trouble with anything, because he's never concrete about anything. It's just all waffle ideas thrown out there. And maybe this could happen, and then it happens. Like, I didn't tell him to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I also hate that approach too, because it's like he literally, spitballed, doing this or talked about doing it, but he says he's joking, so no big deal. And it's like, I can't just go up to a woman and it's like, hey, I might rape you later. Just joking.
Well, yeah.
This doesn't really
Yeah,
work.
but then there's like 50 comedians that say like that's a violation of my free speech.
True.
Oh. Yep.
Sorry.
Well, Trump.
All right,
Yeah,
so
what else can you say besides Trump? That's
well, let's hopefully we never hear it. Let's keep his name as low as possible for the rest of his life.
Well, we kind
well,
of.
Deutsche Bank's calling in all his assets if he doesn't pay anytime soon, so he'll start seizing all of his
I
assets.
don't know. That's like, when do rich people ever get? When do they ever get theirs? It's like never.
Yeah.
Unless you like are raping children and making a thing of it, and then you'll get murdered in prison for wanting to tell on other rapists. But
Yeah. Yeah.
anyways,
Well, that's all I got for this week.
yep.
All right. Let's speak for the American Greed Factory podcast. This is Nathan.
This is Conlon.
Andrew?
Goodbye, America.